First off, Joe Rogan, all I want to say is this is a real championship belt. I'm going to do what a real American should do. I'm bringing this belt to the White House and I'm putting it on Donald Trump's desk.
It's not a secret to anybody that the main goal of absolutely every MMA fighter is to conquer the gold in the most prestigious organization in the world. Athletes spent decades before they could even finally reach the top 5. That's why everyone who managed to fulfill the set goal get everything they could ever dream of. But there are cases when fighters who couldn't conquer the Undisputed Championship still got an opportunity to try on the UFC gold on their waist and even obtain the same status in the eyes of the public. And today we're going to talk about the best interim champions of the major promotion. Number 7. Antonio Nogueira.
Declaring the winner by tap out due to a guillotine choke. And now the new interim heavyweight UFC champion of the world, Antonio Rodrigo Minotauro Nogueira.
The legendary Nogueira brothers have been conquering mixed martial arts since 2000s. They performed at a high level before it turned mainstream. Their participation in big Grand Prix in different promotions is forever in the history of the sport. Speaking about Antonio Rodrigo, he won at many well-known arenas, beating a considerable number of top fighters. In regard to specifically remarkable achievements, this guy won the 2001 King of Kings Championship, he was 2 times champion in Pride, and of course conquered the title in the world's best league. But first things first. By November of 2001, the Brazilian already made a name for himself in Japan and got an opportunity to contest the gold in one of the best promotions. After beating Heath Herring, he became the undisputed heavyweight champion of the Japanese organization. For his age, he impressed everybody with his skills both on the ground and in the stand-up. The win over the American happened to be the 8th one in a row and the 14th on the overall record. During the next year, Nogueira complemented his resume with 5 more names, and perhaps he could keep on going if the young talent hasn't faced another legendary heavyweight in the face of Fedor Emelianenko. No matter how hard the Minotaur tried, he couldn't beat the prime Russian. In March of 2003, the Brazilian fighter lost his world championship. However, already in November, he managed to retrieve the title and earn a couple of big wins after. At that time, another Grand Prix was taking place, in the finale of which Nogueira suffered another loss to the same Fedor Emelianenko. In the next 1.5 years, the Brazilian had 6 professional fights, earning convincing wins in 5 of them. In July of 2007, the Minotaur moved to the UFC. He needed only 1 win over the same Heath Herring to get the title opportunity. The undisputed champion at the time was Randy Couture, who had some issues grounded in pay and did not fight. The world's best league made a night's move and gave the opportunity to the Brazilian. At the 81st event, Antonio Nogueira beat Tim Sylvia and conquered the heavyweight interim championship. Unfortunately, the Minotaur couldn't ultimately unify the belts. However, he can still be considered as one of the best fighters to ever compete in the main octagon. Number 6. Cyril Gane.
Declaring the winner by TKO and new interim UFC heavyweight champion of the world, Cyril Gane.
We continue to overview the heavyweight class, and next in line is a fighter of the new generation. One of the most talented performers out of France and simply a good guy, Cyril Gane. The professional MMA career of the young prospect dates back to 2018. Prior to that, the French athlete spent 2 years competing in Thai boxing. Beginning from August until this day, Cyril has been doing MMA. In just 1 year after the debut, Gane earned 3 stoppage victories and soon signed with the UFC. In the next 730 days, the Frenchman had 6 more fights and showed his best in every single one of them. By that time, he managed to break into the top 15 and make a case to contest the championship.
Like I say, now I'm comfortable about this matchup, if this matchup gonna happen. Because before it was a little bit, unfortunately, it was the shame before the title. Now for the title, I'm really comfortable with this situation because we was born in the same gym. So before it was a little bit, you know. So now I'm comfortable. If tomorrow we're gonna fight for the belt, this is beautiful for us, for me, for him, for my coach, and the MMA factory.
However, at that moment, the undisputed champion in Francis Ngannou was injured and couldn't fight, so the matchmakers of the world's best league decided to give Ciryl Gane an opportunity to headline an event against the Black Beast Derek Lewis for the interim championship.
On Saturday, you stand a chance to actually be the first UFC fighter to win for France. How big is that going to be?
Yeah, it's a big opportunity.
I noticed that bullshit too.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, it's a big opportunity for me. I'm a young guy. I have a young career, and the UFC put me on the headline, and I want to do this for me, for my country, for my team, and for my family, for my fan, and I want to do my best for this. Yeah.
On August 8th of 2021, Ciryl Gane beat Derek Lewis via TKO and became the new interim heavyweight champion. All more so, at that time he was still undefeated, having a record of 10 wins and no defeats.
I think I'm one of the best of the world now. I think this has meant something, so yes.
But as history taught us, the Frenchman couldn't unify the titles. At first, he lost to Francis Ngannou via decision and failed to conquer the undisputed championship. And then, after he bounced back in the fight with Tai Tuivasa, he suffered a loss in a clash with the legendary John Jones.
Disappointed, of course, but the biggest feeling is really angry about myself.
Either way, even without the undisputed championship, Ciryl Gane can be considered one of the best heavyweights of the world's best league. And even if he won't conquer it in the future, he could still make history. Number 5. Carlos Condit.
The winner by unanimous decision, and now the interim UFC welterweight champion of the world, the natural born killer, Carlos Condit.
The professional career of the natural-born killer from America began in 2002. Before making it to the main promotion, Carlos Condit went through many tough opponents. He spent 6 years on that and entered the cage 27 times. He scored 23 wins and racked up a streak of 8 victories before the UFC noticed him. The American's transition to the world's best league was from the local league WEC, where Carlos already was the undisputed champion with 3 defenses. Carlos's debut in the main octagon wasn't successful. He lost to Martin Kampmann via split decision. And despite the first appearance in the organization, the guy was already known, so he was given an opportunity to headline Fight Night 18.
I'm not going to come out here and be like, oh, I want a rematch right off the bat, because that's, a little bit disrespectful. I think, the judges saw it his way, and I'll leave it at that. But yeah, of course I'd like to rematch him, but he got the nod.
Soon after the failed debut, the natural-born killer quickly returned to the win column and racked up a 4-fight winning streak, 3 stoppages.
I've been on a tear. Dun Young Kim is an undefeated fighter, and I think that whoever wins this fight deserves the title shot.
By February of 2012, Carlos Condit was supposed to share the octagon with Josh Koscheck. However, the injury of George St. Pierre, who was set to face Nick Diaz, messed all the plans up. Eventually, the American clashed with the Stocktonian in the main event of the UFC 143 for the interim championship at stake. In the conclusion of the unanimous decision, the natural-born killer beat Nick Diaz and conquered the main gold of the world's best league.
It's pretty crazy, man. Honestly, I need a little bit of time to process it and let it sink in, but I'm a happy man tonight.
Eventually, as you remember, Carlos Condit had a fight with the legendary GSP, whom he managed to knock down in the beginning of the third round. However, he couldn't ultimately beat the champion. The American got his second and last title opportunity only 4 months later. On January the 4th of 2016, he clashed with the ruthless Robbie Lawler in the main event of UFC 195. The natural-born killer suffered a loss in a very close fight via split decision. However, despite that, he is still one of the best welterweights of all time.
Yeah, Carlos Condit is a nightmare. He's the kind of guy that he's a nightmare. Carlos Condit. If of all the guy that I would not want to fight again, it would be Carlos Condit, because Carlos Condit is kind of guy that is good. He's very well-rounded, and things can come out of every angle from everywhere.
Number 4. Justin Gaethje.
By TKO and new interim UFC lightweight champion, Justin the Highlight Gaethje.
The main highlight of the UFC began to compete in professionals in August of 2011. Justin Gaethje was undefeated for 6 long years, up to his debut in the world's best league. Or more so, out of his 18 professional fights, only 2 went to a decision. On top of that, the American had time to hold the WSOF title for 2 years and defend it 5 times. Since his coming to the major promotion, Justin had begun to deliver one performance of the night after another. However, it also brought the first stoppage losses in his career. Even though Gaethje was still the elite lightweight, the fight with whom couldn't be called the walk in the park.
You know, this game is unforgiving, man. That could easily be me right now, and it's what we do. I am the least fake person in this sport. I take everything personal. I took everything he said personal, and I'm glad I put him to sleep.
By May of 2020, the Highlight racked up a 3-fight winning streak. As you know, it was planned to put together the fight between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson for the 5th time, with the Undisputed Lightweight Championship at stake. However, the plans got messed up again and the pandemic came into play. Justin Gaethje accepted the fight with El Cucuy on a short notice and stopped him at UFC 249 via TKO.
I knew I was a killer stepping in here. I'm good, bro.
I'm sure you knew you were a killer, but you also knew Tony
Ferguson. No better drug on earth. Adrenaline coursing through my veins. This is hard work. I've worked since I was 4 years old. It's each day at a time for me. I never look past one day, and you just have to be better than yesterday. That's all it is.
Subsequently, Justin Gaethje couldn't conquer the Undisputed Championship, despite the fact that he was still one of the best lightweights in the history of the UFC. The most shocking thing was how Highlight got done with Tony Ferguson. The interim championship should immediately be given for such convincing and brutal performances. Number 3. Colby Covington.
For the winner by unanimous decision, and now the new interim UFC welterweight champion, Colby Chaos Covington.
The professional career of Colby Covington began in February of 2012 after a series of successful performances in amateur MMA. During the first 2 years, the Chaos earned 5 convincing wins, and by August of 2014, he signed the contract with the world's best league. In the next 9 months, the American added 3 more names to his resume inside the UFC. But in December of 2015, he suffered a first loss via guillotine to Wally Alves. Despite that, Chaos continued to terrorize the division, and by October of 2017, he racked up a small win streak of 5 wins in a row. On top of that, Colby went through a tough period of his career, due to which he almost lost his contract, and with a new image, he aimed at the current undisputed champion.
Yeah, I felt great in there, man. I really felt at home. You know, I'm really coming into my own, and you know, this is my prime right now, so I feel like I'm on top of my game and I'm ready to take the world championship.
For some time, Covington was calling out Tyron Woodley. However, the champion was healing from an injury during that time and was absent. The figure of Colby was drawing even more attention, considering his beef with the Brazilians, and the matchmakers decided to put him up against Rafael dos Anjos for the interim title at stake. As you remember, on June 9th of 2018, Chaos beat RDA in the co-main event of UFC 225 and became the new interim UFC welterweight champion.
This is the real world championship. If Tyron Woodley has something to say about it, he can come see me. He needs to stop acting like a hanging out in Hollywood. He's just a gossip bitch. He's just like sucking up to all the stars. I'm the real champ. He wants to see me. He needs to come and try and take my belt.
Colby Covington is one of the best performers in the history of the welterweight class, and if it wasn't for Kamaru Usman, the Chaos would most likely rule the division till this day. Sure, there's a legit chance that the American can beat the current champion in the face of Leon Edwards, but for now, even with the interim championship, he is still one of the best. Number 2. Dustin Poirier.
By unanimous decision, and new interim UFC lightweight champion of the world, Dustin the Diamond Poirier.
Diamond from Louisiana has begun to compete in mixed martial arts since 2009. In the first 600 days, Dustin Poirier earned 8 stoppage victories in the first round and suffered the first loss via decision. The American's arrival to the world's best league happened in January of 2011. At first, Diamond was performing in the featherweight class with mixed success. Sure, he was mostly winning, however losses caught the young prospect off guard a couple of times. Eventually, Dustin moved up to the lightweight division where he began to perform a lot more consistently, also thanks to the gained experience. By July of 2018, Poirier built up a resume of 24 wins and 5 losses and beat many tough fighters, including a couple of former champions.
Quit. I'll never quit in here. I'll die in here. This is what I do. I live for this. Every day.
In October of the same year, the undisputed champion in the face of Khabib Nurmagomedov was having his first title defense against the notorious Irishman. Many know the outcome of that rivalry and the subsequent suspension of both fighters. Based on that, the major promotion put together the UFC 236 in April of 2019. In the main event of the evening, Dustin Poirier clashed with the featherweight champion in blessed Max Holloway. In the conclusion of 5 rounds, Diamond conquered the interim title.
Man, I can't put it into words. I thought about it every night since the fight was announced. I thought about it before that, but it feels even better than I thought it was going to feel.
As history taught us, when Dustin was given an opportunity to contest the Undisputed Championship, he had bad luck. Both times he lost via 3-round submission choke. Right now, Diamond is 34, and considering that he is still able to compete at the highest level, it's quite possible that he might get another title shot. If the rematch between him and Justin Gaethje finally happens and he gets the victory, there wouldn't be any doubts.
Phenomenal fight and a phenomenal victory for you.
Who ain't got jiu-jitsu?
Number 1. Tony Ferguson.
The winner by submission due to a triangle choke. And now, the new interim UFC lightweight champion of the world, Tony El Cucuy Ferguson.
The professional career of the legendary boogeyman began in April of 2008. In the next 17 months, Tony Ferguson earned 10 wins, 9 by stoppages in the local organizations with only 2 losses. In his last fight before the debut in the world's best league, El Cucuy conquered the vacant pure combat welterweight title. In 2011, the American of Mexican descent got to the 13th season of the Ultimate Fighter show, where he competed in the same weight class. Tony finished all of his 3 fights via knockout and won the finale. Right after he got to the roster, Ferguson transitioned to the lightweight division. By the end of the same year, he scored 2 more victories against Aaron Riley and Yves Edwards. However, already in May of 2012, he lost to Michael Johnson via unanimous decision. After that, he went on to have his legendary 12-fight winning streak and 8 years without losing. During his whole time, the Mexican boogeyman tried to claim the title numerous times.
Whoever signs up on the dotted line. These guys don't want to fight me, but they have no choice when I'm right there next to them. So we'll see who's next. Give me that title shot. Eddie Alvarez, I know you don't want to fight me. If you want an easy fight, go ahead and get Connor. But I'm right here at your front doorstep, and I'm ready to sign on the dotted line.
But in the end, he only managed to contest the interim championship in the fight against Kevin Lee in the main event of the evening at UFC 216 in 2017. Back then, El Cucuy beat the young prospect via triangle in the 3rd round.
Whoa! Amazing!
So if Connor's next, no matter what, if he doesn't want to defend it, then whatever. I don't care. I'm here right now. I just won this belt. I'm fresh. I don't have any injuries. I'm ready to go back to the drawing board on Monday. There's a couple things I really want to work on and sharpen up, especially my elbows. My takedown defense, I mean, really, I don't care. My takedowns are amazing. My takedown defense was amazing, but that's what I did. I sacrificed my takedown defense to get into my submission game. I wanted to demonstrate to everybody that I'm a full, complete mixed martial artist. I don't just have hands. Because in the beginning, I was knocking out people. You guys remember that? And then I learned Muay Thai, and then I learned Jiu-Jitsu. And I just learned how to put it all together.
The case of Tony Ferguson is kind of unique compared to other athletes in this compilation, because as you know, El Cucuy was ultimately not given an opportunity to fight for the Undisputed Lightweight Championship. In May of 2020, being 36 years old, he was given a second opportunity to fight for another interim title, because in 2018 he got stripped due to an injury. And the bad timing is to blame for, as Tony Ferguson was unlucky to compete during the same time as Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor did, in favor of which the world's best league sacrificed one of the best lightweights of all time. And on top of that, it's especially unfair that UFC stripped him due to a simple mistake when Tony stumbled on the cable while giving an interview. Nobody paid attention to the fact that the Irishman hadn't fought for 2 years and was simply holding the division up. Because if Khabib, who tried to fight for the Undisputed Championship during all this mess, went out to fight Al Iaquinta for the interim belt, and then Ferguson would have come back to fight the Dagestani, things could have unfolded absolutely differently. There it is guys, leave your opinion in the comments below. Who do you think deserves to be called the best interim champion in the history of the UFC, and why? And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the new videos. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this one. And that's it for today friends, see you soon.